for 5 minutes.
Thank you. First question I have is, there's been some publications talking about the huge number of people crossing our southern border who, you could even say, making crossing our southern border on false asylum claims. A lot of these people perhaps being taken advantage of. What is your office doing to prevent people who are not in this country legally from A, maybe taking jobs away from American workers, and B, making sure that their employers are obeying all the laws, particularly with regard to age?
Thank you very much for that question, Congressman. I think one of the things you might be referring to is recently our Wage and Hour Division found a large number of children working in exploitative child labor conditions. This was a company that had hired over 100 children, ages 13 to 17, working, doing sanitation work, cleaning work in a meat processing facility.
Can I give you a follow-up?
Of course.
Because we only have 5 minutes. How many of these children were living with their parents?
Right, I don't have a specific number on that, but many of these children were migrant children, and as a result of
Do you look for that? I mean, when you find somebody like that, do you look for the parents?
We look for child labor violations in every case that we look at.
But if somebody's being taken advantage of, I would assume one of the things you do is you'd call the parents. Do you call the parents? Do you look into where the parents are?
Well, in this case, what happened was, I mean, again, some of the kids were 13 years old and they were working the night shift.
Right. If I found a 13-year-old working the night shift, I'd be wanting to call their parents pretty quickly. Do you look for the parents?
Well, what we did here is the White House actually started an interagency task force that the Department of Labor leads that does include some of our sister agencies, right? Some of the questions that you're asking involve.
The question is, if you find a 13-year-old working the night shift illegally, the first thing I would do is contact the parents and find out what's going on. There has been some concern in this town about, in the last administration, children being separated from their parents, albeit relatively small compared to this sea of people who are apparently working illegally. Do you look for the parents? Do you even check it off or see whether they have parents?
Right, that's what I would say. Some of that work involves the work of other agencies in the federal government, but we do work together. This is not an answer of we're not paying attention. The interagency task force does include the Department of Homeland Security.
Is anybody checking to see whether the kids are here with their parents or whether they've been sent north by the drug cartels or what's going on?
Right, all important and relevant to the issue at hand. For the Department of Labor, our work was to make sure that
we don't really consider that a concern. Okay, next.